Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Brent Willis from Voyageur Pharmaceuticals. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Good morning, Tracy. Thanks for having me on.
We're tracking critical minerals all the time, copper, uranium, rare earths. And when people hear the term critical minerals, they don't necessarily appreciate that barite and iodine should be also on that list. Can you tell us a little bit more about why they should be on the critical minerals watch list?
Sure. Well, on the barite side, it is on the critical list in the United States. And iodine is more considered a strategic mineral at this point. And the real reason behind that is that, it comes down to accessing the high purity grades that make pharmaceutical grade. So that's where the crisis is coming down the pipeline right now, is a shortage of pharmaceutical grade barium sulfate and iodine for manufacturing radiology drugs. And radiology drugs are the cornerstone of diagnosing disease. And without these critical minerals, you can't manufacture the drugs, and then the waiting lines go long, and it's turning into a very serious issue currently.
Brent, that's a perfect segue to your Bayer deal. Bayer obviously understands that you've got something everybody else wants. I don't think the market has fully appreciated what a significant deal your partnership with Bayer that you announced in February actually was. So let's back up and tell our audience about that.
Yeah, well, so Bayer spent 18 months doing due diligence on our iodine project in Oklahoma, where we have patent pending technology that we've proven to them works. And it's a very simple process of extracting iodine from oil field brine water, where we actually clean that brine water, bring that clean brine water into our system, and very easily and low cost extract that iodine. And we're not using chemicals, we're not using high energy, and we're not polluting. It's a very unique system that's very low cost. So after they reviewed all our information of what our business plan was, they wanted us to focus 100% on acquiring iodine for their iodine drug facility in Germany. So Bayer is currently number 3 in the top 4 multinationals in this space. You have GE Healthcare's number 1, you have Bracco Imaging number 2, and Bayer is number 3. So there's shortages in iodine, and these companies are scrambling, looking for secure supply chains in this space.
Well, clearly, this deal with Bayer validates the technology process you're using.
Yeah, the significant aspect of Bayer is they committed to a $2.35 million non-dilutive financing, where we currently are building out a field unit, trailer unit of our Mueller process, which we take out to the field. We test brine waters in the field at a higher scale than what we did in the lab. And this will give the engineering company that's working on our feasibility study for the Bayer project to scale this all up. And we're scaling up to a 200-ton deployment as stage 1, and then we'll continue increasing from there.
And it's my understanding that if you achieve these milestones, then you have an offtake agreement with them. Is that
Yeah, we have an
correct?
offtake agreement behind this agreement that we signed. So we will be going forward with an offtake agreement after feasibility is completed. And it's, again, we can't really talk too much about the terms or the revenue that's going to come off of this, but it's going to be very significant. One thing I can say, if we look at a competitor like Bracco Imaging, they've publicly put out their volumes of iodine that they consume, and they consume over 2,000 tons a year of iodine. So to put that in perspective, that's what these multinationals are looking for.
So from iodine to pharmaceutical grade barite, and you announced recently human trials. How is that progressing?
Yeah, we're moving forward with a Health Canada trial on comparing our formulations that we've created, taking Francis Creek barite. We've gone out and we used a Alberta Innovates grant for $600,000 to launch this project. So what we're doing is we're taking Francis Creek barite, which is natural, which gets crushed. So it's angular and it has a wide particle distribution curve because it's a crushed mineral. And we're putting that into our formulas, and then we're taking a competitor's product and we're comparing them head to head within patients. And we believe that the majority of the barite used in this industry is synthetic. It's called barium precipitate. It comes out as one particle size and it's round. We believe that by having a natural, and we have some studies to back this up, that a natural barite will actually give you better imaging quality than a synthetic barite. And that's what we're going to go out and prove is that our products are performing well and performing better.
Okay, so if you could just back me up and explain what specifically the human trials are going to measure and also the significance of the purity. I think you've touched on both of those items in your last answer, but if you could go a little further on that, that would be great.
Yeah, so in layman terms, so barite and iodine are used because they reflect the X-rays. They're high density minerals. So when you consume that for your gastrointestinal tract, you want those particles filling up all the little nooks and folds in your gastrointestinal tract, expanding everything out and plating everything up so you cover your gastrointestinal tract. So when those scans come in, it's like a mirror. It reflects out and allows the doctor to see what's going on in your tissues. And we believe that with our barite, we're going to have a very positive impact on that. So in regards to the significance of the purity, what's so unique about that is that barite's associated with base metals. Every deposit barite in the world is associated with base metals. So when base metal deposit forms where there's an ocean floor event or hydrothermal through faulting, these fluids percolate out and the metals deposit out on higher pressure, higher temperature, and barite precipitates out at lower temperature and lower pressure. So when you're out prospecting for base metals and you find barite, you know you're onto something, and you look down strike, that's usually where the metals are. So barite always has a high level of metals in it, whether it's mercury, cadmium, arsenic, all sorts of things that obviously humans cannot consume. And Francis Creek, something happened geologically that's very unique. It has no metals in it. It's the only deposit in the world that we know of that has no metals. It's less than 10 parts per million total metals, which allows it to be used and consumed for radiology drugs. And when you look at the value that we can create, we estimate that instead of selling the barite for $300, $400 a ton, that we can go out to market, make our own products. The net value coming back to us when we're selling barium contrast is upwards of $200,000 a ton. So that is where we made the pivot to become a radiology drug company. As you know, we went public in 2017 as a mineral exploration company, discovered the Francis Creek, and since then we've advanced and transitioned into a radiology drug company where we're manufacturing our own minerals to produce our own drugs. And by doing this, we have a secure supply chain and we cut our costs significantly. Where we have the lowest costs in the industry as we move forward is what we're projecting. And we're going to be the most competitive company in this space. But most importantly, we're going to be the first to set up our facility here in North America, to be the only iodine drug manufacturing company in North America, and have our own secure supply chain for producing our barium contrast. So it's a very significant project. We're looking at breaking into an industry that's at $7 billion today and is doubling by 2033. So there's a lot of upside for us. We're looking at a lot of different organizations that are looking at investing once we get our feasibilities done. And that leads into what we're doing here currently. And currently, we are 100% focused on our final feasibility studies. We're advancing the Francis Creek feasibility study currently. We should have our pre-feasibility published in the summer of this year, followed by our final feasibility study. We expect that's going to be much higher than the PEA that we produced back in 2022 when the price of pharmaceutical grade barite was half the cost it is today. Today it's over $10,000 a ton. And that PA came in at $344 million. So we expect it to be significantly higher than that. And and we're also advancing on our feasibility with our Bear project. With Bear is an amazing partner to have, and that's coming out by the end of in the next 12 months. And we're also advancing with our own iodine drug manufacturing project. And we have some very unique technology where we have a second patent that we're moving forward with, where we can create our iodine API. So when you make an iodine drug, you take what the multinationals do is they buy the iodine flake and they buy a couple other compounds from India and China that are iodine based, and they make their drugs using those compounds. What we're doing with our technology that's significant, we're bypassing making any flake. We're making our own compounds in-house, and we have secure supply chain. Our costs, we estimate, are going to be at least 50% lower than the multinationals cost to produce that same API.
And of course, I think the one thing I wanted to add is that most people don't appreciate that you actually saw revenue in 2025. How is that going?
Yes, so we're in order to complete our feasibility with Francis Creek, we're going up against a monopoly, and they don't share their data. So we had to go out to market and prove that we could sell our products. So what we did is we hired a contract manufacturer here in Calgary that's FDA Health Canada licensed. We formulated our 5 products, which took a lot of time and money, and created what we think are better products. And then we went out to market and we started selling them in the Canadian market for we got about over 80,000 in sales so far to date, and we're just kind of breaking into the Canadian market. But really, what it's all about is it's not profitable for us at this stage, so we're using all of our marketing data for our feasibility. We're also onboarding different jurisdictions around the world, like Mexico, Singapore, different Latin American countries, the MENA region. There are multiple areas in the world that rely on barium contrast that our competitor is pulling out of those markets because there's major supply disruptions in the barite market, and there's not enough supply and the costs are going up. So our competitors, they're pivoting, they're pulling out of different markets, readjusting their product lines and focused on the US market from what we can gather. So there's a big opportunity here. So the reason we're onboarding all these different jurisdictions, it takes roughly 2 years to get your licensing. We're not looking at our whole plan here is on feasibility completion at the end of this year. We secure our capex and start building out our project. We estimate that's an 18-month process to get the barium side of this project all built out, and we'll be filing for a notice of work for 2,000 tons. We'll get that out next summer, and that 2,000 tons will last Voyageur 3 to 4 years. It's also very important to understand that this mining project is tiny. It's small. The entire global barium contrast consumption for barite for contrast is estimated around 2,400 tons a year. So we're going to end up going in on this our mine site once we get our quarry permit, which we expect we'll get by the end of 2027. And we're just going to go in and do a bulk sample, mine out 30,000 tons, and we'll have enough supply for the next 20, 30 years. We're going to shut the mine down, and then when we're in positive cash flow, we're just going to go back and start drilling the project up, focusing on exploration and try to prove up 1 million to 2 million tons. So right now we have 130,000 tons of resource, and that's enough for us to supply the entire barium contrast market for the next 50 years.
Well, if that isn't one of the absolute most exciting vertical integration critical mineral stories on the planet, I don't know what is. For those of you interested in finding out more about Voyageur Pharmaceuticals, they have an excellent website. Go to this URL. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you.